In pretty much any organization, there's this huge gap, right? You have a fantastic idea, and then you have the actual real-world result. Getting from one to the other, that's the hard part. So today, we're going to talk about a company called A Planet TNL SUARL. They figured out a really clear, systematic way to close that gap and, tackle some pretty massive challenges head on.
Okay, so let me tell you a story, and it starts in Mauritania. Picture this. You've got all these organizations just full of talent. I mean, ambitious people with a real mission. But they're getting slowed down. We're talking mountains of paperwork, tools that don't talk to each other, and just endless delays. It's that classic story, right? So much potential, but it's getting bogged down by broken processes. Right, and we're not just talking about a small headache here. This is what we can call the Mauritanian challenge. It's a fundamental barrier, a real wall standing in the way of growth and efficiency. It's the kind of friction in the system that can take the most brilliant idea and just grind it to a complete stop. So this is where our story's protagonist, Ali Bidjel, enters the picture. He's the founder of A Planet T and SURL. And he saw this massive gap between what people wanted to achieve and what they could achieve. But he wasn't just going to sit around and complain about it. Nope. He decided to actually build the solution. He started A Planet with one core mission: to build that bridge between a great idea and actually getting it done. And that brings us to the founder's mission, because this was never just about selling some software or the latest tech. It's a vision, It's built on a philosophy that goes way deeper than that. And here's his core insight. Enli figured out that you can't just throw technology at a problem and expect it to magically get fixed. It doesn't work that way. The real solution? It's about three things: having solid systems, having discipline, and having visibility. I mean, think about it. If you're a leader and you can't even see what's going on in your own organization, how are you ever supposed to make it better? So first up, systems. And we're not just talking about a checklist of processes. This is about building a real, structured framework so that success isn't just a lucky accident. It becomes repeatable, predictable. Then, once you have those solid systems in place, you get speed. It just makes sense, right? When you streamline everything and get rid of all those manual roadblocks, the whole organization can move faster, react to things quicker, and ultimately serve people better. And the final piece of the puzzle is accountability. Because when your systems are clear and everyone can see what's happening, you naturally create a culture of ownership. People know what they're on the hook for, and the results, they're out there in the open for everyone to see. Okay, so that's the philosophy. But how does A Planet actually do it? How do they make this happen? Well, they've built their whole approach around something they call the 5 pillars of transformation. Yeah, these 5 pillars are basically the building blocks for making that change happen. It all starts with the foundational stuff like ERP and CRM and goes all the way up to cutting-edge tools like AI and IoT. Let's dive in and break each one down. All right, pillar 1 is the bedrock: ERP and CRM. So that's enterprise resource planning and customer relationship management. The whole goal here is to create one single source of truth for absolutely everything. They use platforms like Odoo and HubSpot to bring everything, finance, HR, sales, you name it, into one place so you can finally say goodbye to all those conflicting spreadsheets. Pillar 2 is all about automation. They're trying to stop what they call leakage, and what that really means is all that wasted time. When your team spends hours just copying and pasting data from one app to another. So using tools like Make.com, they build these automated workflows that just connect everything. This frees people up to stop doing robot work and focus on the stuff that actually matters. Next up, pillar 3, AI assistance. Look, we all know how important that first contact is, whether it's a customer or a citizen. A Planet builds practical AI chatbots. And I mean practical, not just some flashy demo that doesn't really work. These things give instant, correct answers to citizens, to clients, and even to employees inside the company. Pillar 4 is a total game changer, especially for organizations that are spread out. Just imagine you're a ministry or a bank, and you've got branches all over the country. Before, you would have to deal with expensive travel, and you'd only find out about problems way too late. Well, with their managed remote access solution, they use AnyDesk for this. Leadership can actually supervise, train, and support their teams in real time, and it's all done with full governance and clear audit trails. And finally, we have Pillar 5, which is all about connecting the physical world to the digital one. They use the Internet of Things, or IoT, and something called digital twin technology. Basically, what that means is they can create a virtual copy of real-world stuff, like machines or buildings. This lets leaders see what's happening with their operations in real time, which means they can make faster, smarter decisions based on what's actually going on right now. So that's the whole framework. But the big question is, does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's take a look at the proof.
Yeah, this isn't just theory on a slide. A Planet is out there delivering these solutions for real organizations all across Mauritania. For example, for the Alxar municipality, they're making citizen services better using a CRM and AI. For big agencies, universities, even industrial companies, they're putting in those Odoo ERP systems to create that discipline and visibility we talked about. It just goes to show, from government to logistics, this 5-pillar model is seriously flexible.
But the story doesn't stop in Mauritania. Not at all. The vision here is much, much bigger. It's truly global.
And this is where things get really interesting. See, A Planet isn't just a company that helps other organizations. They're also building their own ventures. A great example of this is their flagship project, Celevly. It's a microfinance app they designed from scratch, based on what users actually need. And of course, it's built with that same super clear, logical foundation that's in everything they do.
And they have a clear roadmap for how to grow. Step 1, build a really strong foundation of expertise and results right there in Mauritania. Step 2, set up an international structure, for example, forming an LLC in Wyoming that makes it easy to work across borders. And the end goal? To be able to work seamlessly with partners and investors no matter where they are in the world. So really, the message here is pretty straightforward. If you're an investor and you're looking for a team that can actually execute, or if you're an entrepreneur who needs a solid tech partner, or maybe you're a leader who is just tired of talk and wants to see real, measurable improvement, well, this is what they do. And all of this really leaves us with one big question to think about. What happens when ambition finally meets execution? You know, we live in a world that's overflowing with great ideas. But the real magic, the thing that actually changes the world, happens when that ambition gets connected to a disciplined, systematic way of making it real. And that right there is what A Planet T and SUARL is all about. They're in the business of turning ambition into execution. If you want to learn more or maybe even collaborate with them, all their contact info is right here. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.